Hi, Simon. It's great to meet you, and thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm great, Joseph. Thanks for having me on today. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming on. Simon, before we dive in, can you tell me a bit about yourself and how you discovered carnivore? How did it all start?
Sure, Joseph. I'm a physiotherapist, have been for about 28 years. And in that time, I've also trained as a hypnotherapist and a nutritionist. People would tell me their worries, their problems, their fears, just all about their life before they're on the physio table because I'm a captive audience, I can't escape. So I'm a listener. And over that time, I realised that pain wasn't just a physical problem. A lot of people had a lot of trauma in the background that was enabling their pain through maybe placebo or suggestion or stress hormones, many reasons. So I had an opportunity to train as a hypnotherapist. I took that and started working mind and body, and my family's story went on at the same time. My youngest son has autism, and myself and my partner Melly, we've done everything we can to try and give him the best start in life, and that includes nutrition as part of it. And we've experimented a lot with the knowledge we had at the time. We started off as vegetarian and then went deeper into vegan and raw veganism. And none of that was working. In fact, everything was just getting worse. Behaviour, Mikey's behaviour was harder and harder to handle. Both myself and Melly's health was going downhill. And Melly came across Carnivore just over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now. And she did a lot of research. She's a philosopher, deep researcher. So I tend to get the day's news and information downloaded when I get home. That's how I learn a lot of my stuff. And so she talked about carnivore, and I was interested, but I really love my vegetables. I'm very resistant. But she's very determined, and I agreed to do 30 days, as a lot of people do. And I was a chronic migraine sufferer, and within 30 days, the migraines had more or less disappeared. And they were happening every 2 weeks before that. I was losing a day every 2 weeks. It was pretty unpleasant. I'm getting into my 50s now, and you can't afford days lost every fortnight. And it changed my life in that major way. So I carried on, thought we'll go for 90 days. And IBS, which I suffer from since my 30s, started to improve. I had arthritis in my right knee due to an injury when I was in my teens. The pain and the discomfort disappeared. The strength started to come back. Energy started to go up. Sleep was improved. My eyesight has been improved since. But the real major thing for us is that Mikey's behaviour and whole demeanour has changed completely. So he's almost 13 now. He's getting stronger. He's done judo since he was about 5. So he's fairly capable. He likes to wrestle. But the meltdowns were pretty severe about 3 years ago. I was starting to struggle, looking ahead to the future and thinking, what does this hold? He's going to be getting stronger. The hormones have got to start to kick in. This is going to be pretty tough. And that's all gone. So he's a teenager, as you would imagine. That brings its own issues, but nothing out of the ordinary. The autism is a strange condition. A lot of people push against the fact that it might be genetic. Well, maybe there is a genetic component, but there's a lot more to it than that. I'm not sure if you ever heal completely from it, but certainly the negative aspects for Mikey have gone. So he can regulate his emotions now. The meltdowns have gone completely. He normal conversations about how he feels and how he thinks, and those didn't exist before. And he knows how he feels now. And he also knows how he feels when he cheats and doesn't eat in the carnivore way. And he knows he doesn't like it, so he's choosing to do it now as opposed to pushing against it, which is makes it so much easier. Melly, my partner, she had hormone issues, and they're steadily improving. And she's just getting to the stage where you might be thinking about, perimenopause is going to be normal. Much less than it was. So there's so many aspects of health and life have improved in becoming carnivore. It's so much easier to cook. You're not having to think about all the recipes. A lot of people worry about the expense, but in a way you're just transferring the money you would spend on the carbs and the veg into the meat, and it makes you look harder for good connections. So I know gamekeepers that shoot. I know farmers that keep their animals locally, and they sell to me straight from the farm. So cuts out the middleman in the supermarket. I get it at cost price. I can butcher myself, so that's a skill that again saves on the cost of the butchery. So there's lots of different ways of making it economical, and you tend to eat everything. There's nothing wasted. I was just talking to Melody the other day. If I ordered, say, half a cow from the butcher, you're only going to get a quarter of a cow because you get all the cuts cut up nicely into joints. You get all the steaks cut up. You're not going to get the liver, you're not going to get the offal, often don't get the bones and all the bits and pieces that people used in the past that we use all the time now. And so, yeah, it makes you much more discerning about the meat that you eat as well, quality.
Wow, that's really awesome. I mean, it's amazing how the whole family pretty much, involved in how you guys like switch from vegan, vegetarian to carnivore. I think, and then everything just became better. I just want to unpack a couple of things because you mentioned vegan and vegetarian. I guess I wanted to clarify: were you guys like pretty much vegan your whole life, or somewhere like maybe after childhood, it changed the diet and just adapted to a vegan lifestyle, or the diet, maybe teenage years or adulthood?
So veganism was a very recent thing for us. I grew up with parents who'd had pretty traditional upbringing. So it was meat and two veg, as we say over here in Britain. Pretty healthy. I went to university and that all went out the window. I was 6 years as a student, so lots of late nights, lots of alcohol, lots of takeaways, and I pretty much carried that on into my adult life. Standard Western diet, lots of processed food. So as I said, Mellie's a philosopher. We've been together about 15 years now, and she's an investigator. She's possibly on the spectrum a bit as well, although it's undiagnosed. So she tends to deep dive into something when she finds it. And so with the knowledge we had at the time, which is the knowledge that most people still have, vegetables are king. And so we cut out the meat, went vegetarian. We thought that's what's healthy, but we still kept eating the bread and the grains and the occasional takeaway and the alcohol. So it certainly wasn't healthy. And I'm somebody who struggled to keep weight on my whole life. I always said I had a very fast metabolism. I'm not sure if that's really true. It's just the way my body processed the food. My family genetics are the very slim side, and I definitely inherited that. And I just found as I went deeper into vegetable way of eating, I just struggled even more to keep the weight on. The gut issues got worse. The migraines, the headaches were getting steadily worse. So, but we did the opposite of what we should have done. We went deeper again. We went into veganism, got rid of all the animal products. It felt terrible. I had low energy. I was starting to get up 2 or 3 times a night to the toilet. Well, that's just old man's problems. It happens with age. You tell yourself that. And so many people out there, and I hear as a physio, the phrase I've heard most often as a physio in my working life is, oh, age doesn't come by itself. It's rubbish. It's just the worst persuasion of just accepting ill health as normal you ever hear. And it's because that's people's normal experience of life. They think that we're going to go on medication, we're going to have aches and pains, we're going to have the problems of age creeping in. And that's not necessarily the case, because they've all improved for me in the last 2.5 years. Things I accepted, like being up during the night, I sleep all night now. You know, if needing to have a nap in the afternoon, I don't need it anymore. The knee pain, it's gone. And all these things you accept as normal tend to disappear. So the veganism was probably lasted about a year for us as we dabbled between that and raw veganism. And then Melly came across the carnivore because it was obvious it wasn't working for all aspects of our lives. And Mikey was just getting harder and harder to handle, and harder for him to work out what was going on in his head, less intuitive, less aware of what was going on around about him. And that's all changed in carnivore. So I would say the veganism was driven by the knowledge that we thought we knew about what was healthy, and the government recommendations and what nutritionists say and the people we followed at the time. That's what they were saying. So you go with the knowledge that you think is true and that you believe is true at the time. But you have to increase your awareness of the fact and realise it's just not working. And it really wasn't. And if we kept doing what we were, I can't even imagine where we'd be now in life at all.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I feel like what you just said, accepting things as normal, like in the past, like before carnivore, and also like the standard conventional approach was just like, to me, they're all wrong. I don't know why I believe that in the first thing, But I guess I just wanted to ask, because you mentioned you tried carnivore. You've agreed to try carnivore for 30 days because with your wife's suggestion. So what about your son? Did he also tried it for 30 days, or did you he gradually adapted to it? Was there like similar to how you approached it?
So I started first, and as soon as it worked for me, we applied it to all of us. So we have the advantage that home educate my son. So he doesn't have access to processed food. He doesn't go to school. He's not mixing with the kids that are eating all the takeaways and rubbish and the sweets and the snacks all the time. So the beauty of that is we have the control. We also live in a small village, so there's no shops within about a 5 to 10 mile radius. So you got to jump on a bike if he wants to go and get something that he shouldn't do. And it's effort. So I think the thing about carnivore is the main change is you become more intuitive about how your body feels, and you become more aware of what it's telling you. And that was one of the major changes for him, is he started to realise that he felt better. And yes, he wanted to cheat, and of course he did to begin with, because he still wanted the food he had in the past. But as soon as he did, his behaviour went again. He didn't feel great. He started to have stomach issues. And over that time, it's not been that difficult for us, really, because as he's realised he felt better, he's wanted to eat more of it. And we eat a huge variety of food. The main complaint a lot of people have is it's the same and it's boring. No, it's not. There's an endless variety of food you can have. And there's even cookbooks out there that allow you to mimic Western foods like lasagna in a carnivore way. So you can experiment a bit, you can move around. We do a thing called no plant gaps, because I'm trained as a gaps nutritionist. And that's basically carnivore with meat stock and fermented raw dairy. And that gives you a massive scope for variety. You eat every part of the animal, nose to tail. We eat meat stock almost every day, drink it, put it as part of our soups and casseroles and stews. As I said, I get a lot of animals locally from gamekeepers and farmers. And when you do your own butchery, you can create what you want. You're not having to rely on the butcher to supply you with the thing that you think you need, and you can experiment. And there's nothing boring. And I feel so good. Why would I want to go back to feeling the way I did? That's just not worth it.
Yeah. You mentioned quite a lot, like, health issues in the past, like before carnivore, like you had migraine, IBS, arthritis, and this all got better, like, pretty much, like, and, also with your wife who had health issues also. Was this like something gradual, especially with your son, like autism? Like, I'm sure there was like meltdowns, or how did you notice it, like the changes? Was that something gradual? It was getting better after you tried it? Was it the same thing for him?
It's actually quite quick for him. Now, one of the major things with him was he'd run away. So when he got upset and he couldn't control how he was feeling, he wasn't able to self-regulate, he'd just disappear. And that would quite often mean going out in the dark with a torch for an hour and a half. And you think it was funny, at some point you start hiding. Now, when you've got a 7-8-year-old kid hiding in the village in the pitch black at 10 o'clock at night, it's not really that much fun. I remember an occasion when we were coming back from a friend's party, and he'd had lots of sugar. And for some reason, I think he'd left a Lego minifigure back at their house. We were too far away to turn around, and he just had a complete meltdown. I couldn't even drive. I stopped the car. He jumped out. It was getting dark. He ran into the woods. I had to rugby tackle him, put him over my shoulder, kicking and screaming, put him back in the car, hold the door shut for about 10, 15 minutes while he almost destroyed the inside of the car. That doesn't ever happen anymore, and that stopped really quickly. So what he does now is, instead of running away, he'll go and sit outside on the step if he gets upset, and then he'll come back in and we'll have a chat about things. Or he'll go to his room and he'll play with Lego for a while. And then when he's calmed down, he comes back. Never ever happened before. That's like a normal teenager who gets upset, has to go away, calm down, come back, and then they can have a logical conversation. So that's what it is. I've got 2 older children, so that's what you expect from a teenager whose emotions are all over the place, the hormones are up and down, they can't always regulate how they feel, they're not aware of the emotions, so they need a bit of time themselves then. And then you talk things through. And he can do that now, and that steadily developed. I think one of the things in modern medicine that people get wrong is they expect an instant result, because you get a pill and then bang, you have a result. But that's not true healing. True healing takes time. And the same principle as if you're going to go to the gym and exercise, you don't become an athlete in a week. It takes months and years of work and steady compound improvements to get the level of fitness you want to get to. And you've got to continue it for your whole life. As soon as you stop, your body adapts away from that fitness level and will come back to the couch potato if that's what you're doing for the rest of your life. And healing's the same. If you've got a lifetime of ill health and toxicity and problems built up, your body can't get rid of that instantly. Otherwise, you die from the detox. It would be so horrendously strong. And your body is and mind are intelligent, and they're quite intuitive. They'll work away, they'll make it steady. You might feel great for an extended period of time, and then your body will go, okay, I'm strong now, I'm going to get rid of this thing. And so healing can go in a step-by-step process. It's not always a linear improvement. People tend to go up and then they can plateau and then they dip down a bit and then back up again. And I think as long as people realise that and they listen to what the body says, then it becomes something that just changes their life. But so many people give up because they expect it to happen in a week. And yes, there's definitely changes happen, but the big changes, the ones that are worth it, they take time and effort and sticking with it. And this is the way that people ate in the past anyway. We're not doing anything different. It's not some newfangled invented diet. In the distant past, people ate large animals. They had some fruit and vegetables in season, very occasionally. They might have been eating honey in a glut when they found a bee's nest, but they weren't eating it all the time. And that's how your body copes. It can detox from that. The people in the past used herbs and plants for medicinal purposes, for detoxing. They didn't gorge on them from all over the planet, all different types, out of season, not ripe and sprayed with chemicals daily. It just didn't exist. So the way the Western diet is now is really unnatural. But we've been programmed and told, and we now believe it is the natural way to eat, when it's absolutely not.
Yeah, I absolutely like what you said there. I think, we've been eating like this for a very long time. And you also mentioned, about people expecting like instant result when healing really takes time and it goes state by state. I really love when you said that. You know, I've had a lot of health issues also, like numerous health issues in the past, like especially my skin, arthritis, like a tennis elbow. And I feel like, motivation for me, like in life in general, was something I had to push. Maybe I don't have a good outlook in life because I'm going to be reliant to medication prescribed. What about for you? Like, what was the motivation for you, like before Carnivore? Like, with your health issues, the rest of the family, was it something like you had to push?
Main motivation has always been Mikey, because you could see to the future that he was going to struggle in life. He wouldn't have managed well at school. He would have been labelled awkward and stubborn and difficult and probably put into a specific class. So what the home education has allowed us to do is to teach him around his interests, and we almost call it uneducation. So we only have a very short time each day when he's doing formal teaching. Whatever he's interested in, that's what we enable. So we have a friend who's a joiner who's taught him carpentry skills, a friend who's a mechanic that's taught him mechanics. He wants to learn water sports, so that's what we're doing. He's a Lego nut, so we encourage that. And as long as he can read and write and count, everything else above that you learn in school is window dressing, really. You need to focus your mind on what you want to do, what you're interested in, and then that's what you need to do for the rest of your life, because you'll be happy. So the motivation for us has always been that, and whatever we were doing before wasn't working. The schooling was great because it was easy. He has a non-stressful life. He gets up when he wants, and that's pretty early in the morning. Actually, it's usually between half 7, half 8. So he's not a lie runner at 13. He has chores to do in the morning. As long as he does the hour or so at some point in the day of the schoolwork, the rest of the time's his, and he just learns what he wants to learn, and that's absolutely fine by me. I didn't do well at school at all. I didn't enjoy one bit of it. I failed most of my exams. I didn't actually do well until I left school and followed my own interests, which is what education should be about. And so that was our motivation there. Also, I'm getting on towards 50. He's only a teenager. I didn't want to be an old dad who couldn't do the exercise with him. I've always been fairly fit and active, but I was finding aches and pains were starting to creep in. I wasn't sleeping well. I was fatigued. As I said, the headaches were making me lose a day every 2 weeks or so. So life wasn't great on that. And so the motivation was that, health of us all, because we want to be able to do things as a family into the future. And I see old age as not being infirmity and ill health and medication. I think that's a modern concept. Again, if you look way back into the past, the older people, the older tribes, yes, the life expectancy wasn't huge in some ways, but they had a very hard life. They had to survive but they didn't recognize chronic disease. So if you go and speak to them, they don't recognize rheumatoid arthritis or diabetes or obesity or dementia or depression or any of those things. They just have no connection to those whatsoever. They didn't exist because until the day they died, they were generally healthy, give or take an accident or a viral illness or something that was brought in. And so we should all expect that in our life. We should all expect to be healthy, sharp in the mind, and pain-free well into old age. With carnivore, that's something I think is now attainable. If we kept doing what we were doing, I was already starting to feel unwell and ill in my 40s, which is what a lot of people experience now. I think I come across so many unfit, overweight people in pain in the late 30s and early 40s now. And that's a new thing, a new experience. If you go back to your grandparents' generation, it probably didn't exist in the same way. So we're accelerating old age and infirmity into the younger generation with the Western life for sure.
Yeah, that's very well said. I guess I just want just out of curiosity, in your practice, do you say you mentioned you come across like some people early 30s, early 40s. Do you introduce them like the carnivore lifestyle by any chance or anything related to that?
Yeah, so as I'm not sure if I mentioned, but when we've worked with the carnivore, it just changed our life so much that I qualified as a GAPS nutritionist about 2 years ago now. So I've been added that into the mix now. So it's body, mind, and gut. So I do a full lifestyle assessment whenever I see a client, and if there's room for change there, I'll start to introduce the nutritional side of things. Now, some people come to me just for nutrition. It's a hard one to sell carnivore because people are so programmed by the My Plate and the nutritional guidelines that we have in the Western world, and it's advertised everywhere. And the government says this is how you eat. So the research shows that most people only need to be told something 4 times by an authority figure before they believe it's true. So if you're bombarded with that every hour of every day and all the ads on your phone and on your TV and in the car and the radio, then your mind's pretty well going to be programmed to believe that to be true. So if you come across one person that suddenly says, no, you're wrong, it's the opposite of what you've been told. That's a pretty hard persuasion. Now, luckily, hypnosis gives me quite a lot of good techniques for persuasion. And all I do is say to people, if they don't believe me, try it for 30 days. What harm is that going to do? If you don't like it, stop it. For a lot of people, it'll be a gradual. So I'll say, why don't you do paleo and then a keto and then try carnivore? And quite often they'll see the stepwise improvement, and then it's a no-brainer to go carnivore at the end of that because they're feeling so much better. And I would say for a lot of people who are severely ill, jumping straight into carnivore is going to be really hard because the detox and the keto flu is going to be quite severe. And I think one of the things that's not mentioned enough is that we're all different. And so in a lot of the carnivore forums and online and on YouTube and a lot of the influencers, it's very much you have to do it this way and that's the only way to do it. That's not true. We're all starting from a different place. So you have to work out what's going to work for you. So some people can't eat aged beef because of histamine issues. Other people won't be able to do fermented dairy because of a dairy intolerance. Some people can't eat all the fat because their gallbladder's not functioning properly and it'll just leave them on the toilet for weeks on end. So you have to find out where you're at from a health point of view, work out what you can do. And that's where a qualified person comes in because they can say, okay, well, this is where you are. Maybe you should try it this way. Leave out that for now. Do this, add that in, use these supplements to begin with, and then we'll review again and you can start to change this and gradually introduce things. So I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They just jump straight in, it doesn't work, so they give up. They're not realizing that they have a unique position that they're coming from and nobody else is like them and they have to do it in the way that works for them.
Yeah, I really like that approach. Personally, I feel like not everything is gonna be the same for pretty much anyone, and I guess it depends, like patient by patient, on a case basis. I want to change the subject a bit. I guess looking back at the start of your carnivore journey, were there any mistake you made, like or maybe the family as a whole, and how did you guys learn from them? Like, did you guys have any, I guess, a moment of doubt, like maybe in the beginning before trying it, or did it just like made sense that you jumped in, pretty much?
Yeah, I was really hard to persuade. I love my potatoes. and I pushed against it really hard. And to be honest, for the first at least couple of months, I was extremely grumpy, extremely tired. There's quite a lot of detox going on. Mellie's very determined. She's Hungarian, and they're very strong-minded people. So she just kept on pushing me, and then eventually the improvement came. But I'm somebody who has histamine issues, and aged beef was a big problem for me, and I didn't realise that for quite a while. Now it's improved over time, so I can now eat it for a few days, whereas before one steak, and that was me. My stomach didn't like it at all. I have a lot of my own birds at home, so we have a little small holding, and we have chickens, ducks, guinea fowls, and turkeys. So we have an ample supply of eggs. And I always had something a little bit funny with chicken eggs, wasn't sure what. But now, because we've taken everything else out, then that really raised its head. So I have an intolerance to chicken egg white. I can eat duck eggs and guinea fowl eggs and turkey eggs absolutely fine. But I had to find that out. So the fact we simplified our diet and took out all the extraneous vegetables and the grains and the additives and the takeaways and all the processed foods and the snacks, it allows you to target much more what's causing the problem. And so I just don't eat very much beef. So chicken eggs were a problem for me. The chicken egg white, I just found that I couldn't eat it at all. Again, I just would spend my life in the toilet. And that was one of the main reasons I lost weight all the time, was the IBS type symptoms. But these things are improving. I can eat chicken egg yolks, which is fine. We make desserts with that. We put it into lots of things that we eat. And I can eat ribeye now for 2-3 days, and my body doesn't like it, but that's 3 times better than it was 2 years ago. I don't push it too much. I just eat lots of lamb and other types of meat. I'm absolutely fine with it. I eat the other types of eggs. So there's always a way around. You just have to work out what works for you. From Mikey's point of view, he can pretty much eat anything. The dairy was a problem. Now, one of the things about a GAPS nutritional protocol, which I'm trained in, is they have an introduction protocol for dairy. So there's a lot of people who are lactose intolerant or intolerant to casein protein. And that's generally due to the pasteurization process. So if you're going to be able to access raw A2 milk from a Jersey, Guernsey cow, you're going to have all the beneficial bacteria. You've got the lactase in there, which is going to help your body digest the lactose. Then if you ferment it for 24 to 36 hours, the lactose is pretty much digested by the bacteria anyway. So with the A2 casein protein, you're taking out that intolerance, you ferment it. Now, because it's a very strong bacterial concoction, people with really severe gut issues often can't have them at all. So as an introduction protocol, and this is a good way of doing it for anybody for anything they can't tolerate, is to go down to the smallest amount you can manage. So what we'd always do is say a teaspoon a day and see how you go. Now, there are some people who can't even do that, and they can only tolerate a pinhead amount mixed in with something else. And that's where they start. And then they double it, and they double it, they double it, steadily. And you would do that with yogurt, and then you would introduce kefir, which is a much stronger bacterial concoction. It has bacteria and fungi and yeasts and protozoa. It's a really strong concoction. So you wouldn't start drinking a glass of that a day if you make it yourself, because it's going to be very strong. Start with a teaspoon and build and build the tolerance in your body. And you can apply that to pretty much anything you want to add in that you know you have any problem with. Cut it down to the smallest possible amount you can manage, and then steadily increase it. And your body tells you. So if you can't manage one mouthful, you go into half a mouthful. If you can't manage that, you make it smaller and smaller and smaller until you can manage it, and then you build it. If you still can't manage it, you keep doing the healing process and you try it again a few months later and see what happens. Because your body's healing and changing all the time. It's never static. It never stays the same for long periods of time. It's changing every second of every day. And the microbial community inside you is vast, and it's always changing. And if you feed it the right things, it starts to heal.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I feel like I'm still learning a lot, and I'm picking up things like, just listening to you. You mentioned earlier about, you had to be convinced to try carnivore. Was potatoes your favorite food pretty much before carnivore?
Oh, yeah.
Or was there something else that was mentioned?
A roast potato. Always been my favorite. And I still miss them a little bit now. But the funny thing about it is that all the cravings you had before for the sugar and the alcohol, I've not had a drink for about 3 years now. All these things that were part of normal life and I was thinking about all the time, I just don't think about them anymore. And if I had a glass of wine now, I'd get quartered halfway down and I just wouldn't want it anymore, because your body becomes really intuitive. It's almost like you clean it all out, you help it to do what it should be doing, and then it tells you what it wants. Whereas before you were just stuffing in all the toxic stuff all the time, and it was trying desperately to detox. It was giving you mixed signals all over the place. The pathogenic bacteria in your gut that loved the sugar just told your brain, feed me sugar all the time. There's no intuition and no connection at all. And once you get to the point where things are working as they should be, it just tells you what it needs. And you might like things for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden it goes, no, I don't want that today. You might have a week of not wanting that, and then all of a sudden you want it again. And it's all to do with the mineral vitamin balance and the bacterial balance in your body and what they're producing, what it needs in any given time, because it's a changing and an all-changing environment, always. And so its needs are always going to change. And we're not just this organism that needs this amount of this mineral, this amount of this protein, this amount of this fat, and that stays the same all the time. It's always changing. And so you just need to be aware and listen and intuitive.
Yeah. Very well. What's the hardest about being carnivore for you? Example for me are the social games with family and friends, travel, and fight savings in the took one for me to get away from it. But what about for you? What is the hardest thing being carnivore?
Yes, so social side of things is definitely an issue. Again, that gets easier with time. You stop bothering so much about it. If you're going out to a party, you just make sure you've eaten something before you go. If you know the food there is not going to be something you can eat, and you just don't do it. And if somebody says something, well, that's their problem. I mean, one of the things everybody should learn is that what everybody else thinks about you has nothing to do with you. It's all to do with them. And it only bothers you if you let it bother you. So yeah, we tend to pick and choose. One of the reasons for that is that the food you create at home is always so much nicer and so much tastier than the food you get in a restaurant. But when you become aware of how it's cooked and how it's processed and produced, and the vegetable oils that they cook it in, and the ingredients that go into things, then you actually don't want to put that in your body. And as I said, we have a little small holding, so we eat a lot of our own birds. And you start to realise things like, oh my God, different breeds of chicken taste different. They have different textures, different colours to the meat, and the taste actually different. Now that's an experience the majority of people don't ever have now, because they just get the chicken from the supermarket and all taste blandly the same. And then you start to realise things, how they were 2 generations ago when people were really connected to their food. I think that's the key thing here, is that it's a connection to your food that we've lost. People don't see things from being born all the way up to the point where they're going to give up their life to be on your plate. And once you have that connection, there's much more respect, and you realise the nutritional value of food that's had love gone into it, and it's been produced locally to you, so you have that connection to it. So although the eating out has been hard and the social side has been hard, on the other side of that coin, it's introduced us to a whole different world of food and taste and quality that we didn't have before. So with the dark side, there's always a light side as well that comes with it.
All right. Simon, if you had to describe the impact of carnivore in your life, one word would you describe, and tell me why?
Life-changing for a number of reasons. It's changed our entire family life. It's given me the energy I need to push forward with all the projects I'm working on. I can keep up with my son, both physically and mentally now, where that was decreasing steadily over time. And yeah, complete new lease of life. And it's helped me with my career as well. It's given me a different skill set to help my clients with that I didn't know existed before. So the completely changed it in every way. And without Carnivore, I wouldn't be where I am now. I would be talking to you for starters. I've just finished filming a documentary over the last year around carnivore nutrition. That'll be out this summer. I'll be able to talk more about that when it's released in the summer. Again, without Carnivore, that would never have happened. So I can't think of any aspect of life that's not changed. I can exercise more. I don't have days lost every 2 weeks. My relationship with the family has improved. Physically, I feel better. Mentally, I feel better. So yeah, no aspect hasn't been changed and improved by it.
That's really awesome to hear. Yeah, a lot of improvement. I feel like it completely transformed your family. Simon, knowing what you know now about nutrition and carnivore lifestyle itself, if you have a friend or maybe another family member who had a similar issue and their son or daughter is also autistic, but they've seen the improvement that your son had, and they want to try carnivore, but they're super skeptical. What would you tell them?
I would say that it's worth it. It's worth going through the hard bit to start with, and that you don't have to jump in straight away. You can gradually train change. Kids tend to like gradual change rather than jumping in. So you can just surreptitiously reduce the amounts of some things, increase the amounts of others. And as they start to feel better, most autistic kids, when they feel better, want the thing that makes them feel better, because they're usually trapped inside their mind. They don't understand what's going on. There's often a lot of brain fog. And when that clears and they get a clarity of thought and an ability to regulate their emotions, not only do they want more of that, but they will understand what's done it. And then if you can introduce that into the conversation, it just makes it so much easier. So slow, gradual improvements. I would say if you're going to add in one thing, 3 easy steps are: take grains out, grains as in wheat, cereals, take out all vegetable oils, steadily minimize the amount of sugar that they're eating, and introduce meat stock from day one, and as much as you possibly can get them to have. And I'm talking 4 to 5 to 6 cups a day. Meat stock is one of the most healing things you can put in your body. It's absolutely stuffed full of collagen in a bioavailable form, glucosamine, chondroitin, and many, many bioavailable minerals and vitamins that just start to heal your gut. And that's the most important thing. This is all about healing your gut, because the majority of the chronic disease that we experience in the modern world originates in the gut. And if you can heal that and seal it and get the right balance of microbial network in there, then everything's going to start working in the way it should. And that's mind, body, and gut all together. So 3 simple things: grains out, cereals out, sugar, vegetable oils out, and add in meat stock from day one. And that's made with meaty cartilage joints, and it's a 2.5 to 4 hour simmering time. It's not bone broth. It's a completely different product altogether. It's low in histamine for those who have histamine issues. It's easy to make, and you can store it in the fridge. You can drink it. You can add it to soups and stews and casseroles. It's very versatile, but it's the number one thing that will start to heal, and everybody should be drinking it.
That's excellent advice. Simon, where do you see carnivore in the next 5 to 10 years? Future outlook question. Good or bad? Good meaning more people want to learn about it, more healing, and more people trying it. At the same time, the bad is maybe we'll see censorship in the media, maybe meat prices going high, or false information about carnivore. What are your thoughts?
I think there's going to be more and more awareness. There's more documentaries coming out about it. You've got the likes of RFK Jr., who's a carnivore and also has some ferments. So, I mean, he's probably one of the most high-profile people in the world who's an advocate for it. He's even changed the food pyramid in the US in the right direction from that point of view. And I think it's realizing it doesn't need to be divisive, and that we're all just trying to be healthier. And it's the real extreme aspects of people arguing about it and deplatforming and trolling it doesn't help anybody. All we want to do is be healthy. And people can take big steps towards being more healthy by just eating real food and just saying no to all the processed to start with. You're going to start to feel better straight away by doing that. And if we can all just work together and realize that we're not all against each other, that's going to make the whole movement much easier. And realize that all the rhetoric and all the media and all the advertising has taken us down a path of ill health. And that 2-3 generations ago, the chronic disease we experience now didn't exist at all. It really didn't. So what were they doing? What was different? Why is it different now? And people just need to start asking questions, don't they? Have a look at people's shopping baskets in the supermarket? Why are they loaded up with carbs and processed food? Advertising, media, is that doing you any good health-wise? Absolutely not. The human body is a living organism. We haven't evolved suddenly away from eating our natural, real diet. And we are protein and fat. Basically, that's what we're made of. So what should we be eating? Protein and fat. What's the most easily digestible food on the planet? Protein and fat. It's logical. You don't need to be a scientist to understand that. So we just need to keep going with the message. You need to not worry about the people that are going against you, because if you do, they'll stop you, won't they? There's always going to be people like that. For the vegans and vegetarians, they have the same experience. There's many trolls and internet keyboard warriors that are against them as well. So we're all in the same boat. You just have to be strong in your message. Realize that you are an N=1 experiment. What everybody else is doing has nothing to do with you. You're in charge of your health. The medical system, although it wants to help you, from a chronic disease perspective, can't really, because the medication that they prescribe treats symptoms, and symptoms are your body showing you something that's wrong, not the cause. So if you damp down the symptoms, then the cause goes deeper and expresses itself in a more difficult and a harder way in the future. We have everything around us to be completely healthy if we take charge of our own health. And I think that's the main message to get out there. Sit back, think about what health was in the past, and do that. It's really simple.
That's excellent. Simon, I feel like it's very well said how you put it together. I forgot to ask you one important question. Guess I just wanted to clarify, what is a typical day or eating for you look like now, or maybe even weekly? Maybe can you walk me through what you usually eat with what the family eats on a weekly or maybe a monthly basis?
Sure. I think the main thing to realize is that the meals we have in the Western world aren't how people used to eat in the past. So grains for breakfast didn't really exist, and that's a big misnomer. So all you're doing there is you're just filling yourself with sugar from the first moment you're up. So my daily routine would be a pint of warm water with probably electrolytes to begin with, then wait about half hour. I'll have the fermented raw dairy first thing, so kefir and yogurt. I'll probably have a coffee with butter about an hour after I get up, hour and a half after. And then I quite often don't eat till lunchtime. So you could say that's intermittent fasting, but I do have the kefir and the yogurt. So I never feel hungry till lunchtime, and then it's whatever meat we have available. So today it was lamb jigget chops. Last week I had a gamekeeper give me a 40-kilo fallow deer. So we had stew that lasted about 3 days with that, with the meat stock as a base. Ate a lot of bone marrow as well. Tonight I think we've got duck breasts, probably cream cheese sauce with that. I eat a lot of lamb, pork, game, mutton. So in Scotland and in the UK, incidentally, lamb wasn't the sheep meat of choice. It was always mutton in the past. Lamb is a modern inversion. It's very expensive. And mutton tends to be much more tasty when it's cooked. So yeah, we just eat whatever meat is there, but fat on it all the time. Eat the fattiest cuts, pour the fat over, eat lots of butter, have liver probably a couple of times a week. We eat heart at least once a week. I have a repeat order with my butcher where we get marrow bones and knuckle bones and an ox heart every week. And an ox heart is big. And so you're getting a casserole that's going to last you 2-3 days from a heart. So the offal is an essential component of any carnivore diet, because that's the most nutritious part. And you've got all your fat-soluble vitamins, a lot of amino acids in there, and it's just keeping your body healthy. If you're looking for vitamin C, then you're going to get that from the offal as well. And that's one of the big misnomers, is you can't get vitamin C from a carnivore diet. Well, 100% you can. You just need less of it because the grains aren't taking it out of the body. So your demands for vitamin C are less, and you get perfectly adequate amount. And our diet's very high in fat, so we probably eat about 70-75% fat, probably about 25% protein, and the rest is the dairy.
That's a pretty awesome list. Simon, if people want to reach out or connect with you, where's the best place to reach you? So
my business is Health and Fitness Scotland. It'd be healthandfitnessscotland.com. If you want to email me, it's simon@hfs.scot, and my podcast will be coming out fairly soon. So I'd love to have you on at some point, Joseph, for an episode to get your story as well.
Absolutely. I would love to, be a guest on the show. Thank you. Simon, I'm going to make sure to post all of them in the description. And I just want to say thank you again for joining me. I really enjoyed hearing your story and the family carnivore journey. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Absolute pleasure talking to you.